Hi, I'm Curtis Knight, and the grand entrance is the time on your wedding day where some of the most excitement of the entire day happens. I have a few things I'd like to share with you about grand entrance. When it's time to line your bridal party up, this is what's important. Usually they adjourn all your guests into the main hall, the main ballroom, and now the bridal party is out in the lobby, the foyer, outside the tent, wherever we are. We're outside waiting to come in. Now I'm going to give instructions to the bridal party. The first thing I do is I have my list that I've printed in advance. And I take that list and I take all the people that are on the list and I say, may I have the parents of the bride, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, right here. Ladies are on the left. Why are they on the left? Because if a gentleman needs to salute or shake hands, he can still hold on to his date. Ladies are on the left when we line up for grand entrance. So we'll do parents of the bride, parents of the groom, flower girls, ring bearers, and then all the bridesmaids and the groomsmen. Just before the bride and groom, we have the maid of honor and the best man. Then we bring in the bride and groom. So once I have you all lined up, then I'm going to ask for everybody's attention and I'll say, shh, could I have your attention, everybody? Could you please be quiet? My name's Curtis. I'd like to give you your pre-flight instructions. I'm about to start calling your names for the grand entrance. Before I do that, I'm going to ask everybody in the ballroom to get up out of their seats, come to the dance floor, and form a human circle, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, left to right, around the edges of our dance floor. Two wonderful families combining to form one. Once they're all up around the edge of the dance floor, then I'm going to start to bring in the members of the bridal party. So I'll say, starting with the parents of our bride, let's make them feel good, or show your love, Mr. and Mrs., and I'll announce the first couple in. When you hear your names called, there are two things that we do, and don't be afraid when you hear them because you don't have to do anything. But it's called pose and routine. First you do your pose, then you do your routine as you walk across the dance floor to where you're all going to line up. So in this particular example, I'll make believe we're in the ballroom at the Tewksbury Country Club, where you come through the main doors, you head for the dance floor, then once you've done your pose, you're going to head for the opposite side of the dance floor with your backs to the chimney. And you're all going to line up, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, left to right. The entire bridal party. Doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're in that big line. And if there's a whole bunch of you, you may have to horseshoe a little bit and make it kind of C-shaped if there's a lot of you and you can't be all the way left to right. So here we go. I call your names and the doors to the ballroom open and you start heading for the dance floor. So you're going to just keep on walking normally till you get to the dance floor and you step in between the guests that are at the edge of the dance floor and your feet actually touch the dance floor. This is where you stop and you do your pose. Now your pose can just be a normal pose, so don't be nervous. You can just do the old, I hate to have my picture taken. And you can wait while the photographer and the videographer dial you in. There are also all the guests. They all have their cameras. And you need to give them a moment to press their little focus thing and get a good shot of you. So it's important that you wait and do your pose. So you can do a normal pose and just stand there. Or you can do something a little funky, a little edgy. Like if I'm a groomsman and I'm beside a bridesmaid, I'll say, well, I tell you what, I'll have one half of the heart and you have the other half, because there's so much love in the room today. Or we'll stop and do our pose back to back. We're Charlie's Angels and I have my gun and you have your gun. Or anything you want to think of. Sometimes the groomsman will pick up the bridesmaid and hold her up in the air. There's any number of things that you can come up with that really make your entrance kind of stand out from the other ones. You don't have to, but if you want to, you certainly can. Once you've done your pose, either a normal pose or a crazy pose, then it's time for you to walk across the dance floor to the other side and line up shoulder to shoulder, left to right. In order to get there, if you just want to be normal and you don't like being a circus clown and you don't want to be forced to do anything, that's fine, because we don't expect you to do anything. But if you want to be crazy, it's very hard for me to know who's wearing a bathing suit when it's high tide. And what I mean is, you don't know who the crazy people are. There are some crazy people in this bridal party, but I've never met you before, so I don't know who's really going to bust it out and who wants nothing to do with this. So, if you are a crazy person, you can take as long as you want and use as much dance floor as you like to make your entrance before you get over to the opposite side of the dance floor. So here's the example that I always give. I'm the groomsman, and here's my bridesmaid beside me. We're going to walk into our place where we do our pose, and we'll stop, and I'll pick you up, and I'll hold you like this, and we'll both smile, and then I'll put you down, and then we'll start to head toward the opposite side of the dance floor. We'll take 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. Then we'll both jump up in the air. Then I'll break right, and you break left. I'll go that way, you go that way. You take your flowers once we get 20 feet apart, and you throw them across the dance floor to me. I'll catch them, then I'll throw them back to you. Then we'll start walking toward each other in the middle of the dance floor. And when we get all the way to the middle, we'll stop and face each other. I'll start to take off my jacket. You put your arm like this. I'll hang my tuxedo jacket on your hand. Then I'll take your flowers and put them in my teeth. I'll lay down on the floor. Then you put your foot on my chest, swing my tux jacket around in the air. Then I'll get up, put on my jacket, and we'll hold hands and walk the rest of the way to the other side of the dance floor, and we'll line up shoulder to shoulder, left to right. This is just one of 1,000 different things you can do. Sometimes people bring props from home. They bring wagons and push each other in a wagon. If there's a photo booth there, go to the photo booth person and say, pretty please, can we borrow a whole bunch of your stuff? All the hats and the boas and the glasses and all that fun stuff. And then we'll bring them right back after grand entrance. So there's another idea for you. But it's called pose and routine. So you come to the edge of the dance floor, do your pose, then you motor across the dance floor, and we will wait for you, take as long as you want, and then everybody get in line. Once we're all lined up, then I will bring in the bride and groom, and we'll have their first dance as husband and wife. The takeaway from this video is, in advance of a wedding that you've been invited to or you're part of, do your homework, come up with something fascinating, so do your homework and get an A+ on the day of the wedding.